I'd like to draw your attention to obviously some of the material that's up on the storyboards at the back, which Rod has kindly brought along today. Rod's company, Solar and Wind, are installers in Scotland and other parts of the UK of solar PV, wind through Proven wind turbines, and heat pumps through a connection with a company called Danfoss. So he's very familiar with all these different types of products and has installed in various locations, some easier than others. And as I say, I would really recommend, if you've had a chance to look at the notice board, then catching him to sort of talk about some of the sort of issues and concerns which you may have, which you might not want to sort of put your hand up and ask maybe in a more kind of public environment. But it's worthwhile quickly sort of chatting through. Obviously, you know your island better than certainly anybody else coming onto the island. But hopefully, using some of the information that Arthur's given you, it almost kind of equips you a bit with the kind of skills as to some of the opportunities that you have to look at renewable technologies. In essence, Arthur talked about wind speed being important. He talked about turbulence and clean air being very important for a wind turbine, for example, to work effectively. And he talked about some of the what I call the practical aspects of getting that energy generated back to where you're going to use it or connect it into the grid network. These all basically are the things you need to consider if you're actually thinking of as an individual or as a community installing a wind turbine. Let me stress here, we're not talking about a wind farm or huge wind turbines up in the air. It's nothing of the scale, for example, of Gia, for example. It's very much more on the scale of I don't know if you've recently seen the island of Egg featuring in the various press articles around some of the work they've tried to do to improve the sustainability of their island. They've installed small Proven wind turbines as part of an integrated system of energy management and hydro, and it's been very successful. In fact, it came first to other communities in a national competition just a few weeks ago. But in terms of the other resources which you have, which we've talked about before, obviously there's a tremendous resource of potentially in the future waves, with hopefully some of the technologies that have been developed or are being developed that may in the future be suitable for here. We're also utilising, if you like, the heat in the sea. But as Arthur mentioned, when we looked at some of the opportunities around that, because of the very mild climate you have here, it may be there's actually opportunities to use slightly different types of heat pump technology, which actually would be a better technical decision for you as a community as well. So I guess our role within Scottish Gas is to try and support you in providing as much information as we can that lets you see kind of what makes sense for your community. It's not about a particular answer being imposed or parachuted in. But as I say, if we kind of talk through some of the things that Arthur talked about, he used a 6 kilowatt turbine as an example. Not quite sure where he got his pricing information from. It must be a bit older, and it's very much easier to install things in Wales. But what I would say is that we talked about the slightly larger wind turbine potentially for as an opportunity possibly to install on Eisdeal, which is the next size up, which is a 15 kilowatt wind turbine. And the reason for that simply is because with that slightly larger turbine you get significantly more power. But ultimately it's subject to obviously planning and ultimately people viewing that as being a good thing to take forward. But there was, following the last couple of meetings, there was quite a lot of discussion around where would be a suitable installation to put a small wind turbine, and it's worthwhile talking through at least 3 of the locations